Oh hi, thanks for watching my video. So today I thought I would do a little bit of a speed build. I hardly ever do speed builds. The reason being is because I'm such a shit builder. I'm not saying that for people to be like, oh no, Carla, you're great. No, I know I am a shit builder. That's why I don't do speed builds. Most of my videos are about mods. But sometimes I like to do little build videos. So I thought, given that we are in my favourite season of the year, which is autumn, I would build my dream autumn home, because my dream home would be autumn themed, so that's kind of what we're going with here. The one thing I do like about doing speed build videos is that I can just sort of chat, about things that don't really matter or things that don't really fit in with the video. I mean, I still try and find a way, like whenever I'm doing Let's Plays or a mod video, I usually will put in some kind of nugget of a story where I did something embarrassing. Same old, I've got plenty of those. But I don't often get the chance to just, chit-chat one way, where it's just me talking and you have no choice but to listen, unless you click off the video, which you could do at any time. I won't blame you, trust me. But yeah, that is one of the good things about doing speed build videos, is I can just talk and it doesn't have to be within the context of The Sims. I'm one of those self-indulgent people who, when I voice over a speed build, I don't really talk much about the build. I spend most of it just talking about myself. Because, that's what you tune in for, isn't it? To hear about me. Thing is, though, my life isn't really that interesting. I did do something quite interesting fairly recently. Last weekend I went to Formula 1 and it was brilliant. Really hot though, way too hot. But yeah, we drove to Austin to go to the Formula 1. That was cool. I don't really have that much going on in my life to talk about. My life is pretty boring. But what I usually like to do when I'm doing voiceovers for videos is I like to talk about my brother, because my brother is one funny fucker. He is the type of person who, he does things and it makes you think he's an arsehole. Don't get me wrong, he is an arsehole and he knows it, but he's quite an enigma. He's a real fascinating person. You just kind of want to watch him. He's a bit like Carl Pilkington, and he does things for the sole purpose of amusing himself. And sometimes we play pranks on him, just to get him back, because he can be, a bit brutal to everyone else for the sake of having a laugh. But usually when I'm doing a voiceover and I don't have a life update, I usually end up just talking about him and what he's been up to and some golden moments we've had growing up. So I have, I had a brother whilst growing up. I say had, he's fine. But we had a sister added to our sibling crew, but she was born when we were quite a bit older, so she came along pretty late in life. So most of my childhood memories involve my brother, and he never really grew up. He's a bit like Peter Pan. So I just thought today I would just tell you guys about some funny shit that he's done, or things that he's been a victim of, really. I mean, we're quite brutal as a family, and some just funny stories. If you've been watching my channel for a very, very long time, as in when it first started, you might have heard a couple of these stories before, but those videos have no views because they're so old, so most of you haven't heard. But I always feel like when it comes to a certain time of the year, it always makes me think about things more than usual. Like whenever we're in autumn around Halloween, or whenever we're around Christmas, I always miss my old job. I used to work at preschool, and I used to really miss working with kids, because that's the best time to be working with kids, when it's around Halloween. Everything's a big deal. You can really scare the shit out of them as well if you put enough time into your costume. It's brilliant. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to get so excited for Halloween, so excited for Christmas. I used to do some stupid shit, man. And people think that kids are stupid, or that they're not as switched on as they are. But they're really switched on. I remember when I was a child, I was walking somewhere with my mum and my grandma, and I think I must have been, I want to say 5. And I remember this very specifically. We were on a long walk, and the whole time my mum and my nan were just chit-chatting. And I was pissed off because I was thinking, why isn't anyone paying attention to me? you know? Why isn't anyone willing to make a fuss over me? So I decided to take the situation into my own hands, and I figured if I threw myself on the floor, yeah, it would hurt, but it would stop them fucking yapping, and they'd have to focus on me for a change. So I remember that thought process going through my head, and I also remember bracing myself before throwing myself onto the floor, pausing, and then crying, waiting for my mum to stop what she was doing to be like, "Oh, you okay?" And then I just held my hands up that had a little bit of stones from where my hands had hit the floor, just being like, "Oh my God." So yeah, kids are smart. Kids are smart. If I, at that age, was prepared to throw myself at the floor just to get some attention, imagine what kids of today are doing. Oh, actually, no, you don't have to imagine. I mean, we've all got TikTok, haven't we? Well, I say that, I don't really want to engage with TikTok. No real reason why, I just feel like I'm too old for it. And when I say I'm too old, I don't mean by age, because I'm not that old, really, but I just have a very old brain, because a lot of my friends, I'm the youngest in my friend group, and they're all on TikTok, and they're all, they Snapchat each other, and I just am too much of a grumpy old bastard to be dealing with that. I prefer just moaning about people, the kids of today, the shit they get up to. Yeah, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, kids. I also remember when I was a kid, I grew up in a household where spanking and smacking wasn't really done that often. I mean, it happened, but not that often. I know nowadays people don't really do it so much, but back in like the 90s, it was quite normal. Like most kids were smacked or spanked when they were being naughty. I remember being spanked once, and I decided, again, to take action. I was a clever kid, so I went into the kitchen cupboard and I grabbed some ketchup, rubbed it all over the area where I was spanked, and then proceeded to hop into the living room. And my mum was like, what are you doing? And I was like, look at what you've done to me. She felt so bad. I mean, in hindsight, she probably knew that it was ketchup, and I think she just wanted to praise my creativity. So she did buy me an ice cream that day. In fairness, our mum is a bit of a pushover. Bless her. I know that quite a few of you who watch my channel have got kids, and I'd love hearing about times kids have outsmarted their parents, or they've just done some crazy shit to get what they want. Kids, I've always said it and I stand by it, they are comedy gold. When my original plan, like I had a life plan, I originally wanted to be a secondary school teacher, a drama teacher, so not a proper one, but I wanted to teach teenagers because they're so fucking funny, which in hindsight probably isn't, a genuine enough reason to want to work with kids, just to laugh at them, but it's alright, I didn't end up with them anyway, so it's fine. But I would love to know in the comments about some ridiculous shit your kids have done to get out of something. I remember when my brother and I were like primary school age, which I guess is like elementary school and middle school for Americans, and we were very lucky because our school was literally about a 3-minute walk door to door from my grandparents' house. So when my mum would go to work, she would drop us off at my grandparents', and then my grandparents would take us to school. And my brother was really bad with staying at school when he was a kid. Like, he used to just walk home, or he would tell the school that he's feeling sick, so they would have to call my grandparents to pick him up. And my family are quite, I don't want to say pushover, but they're very trusting of their kids. And once my brother insisted he had to go home because he had really bad stomach cramps. So my grandma picked him up, took him to her house, and she was like, "So you got stomach cramps then?" And he was like, yeah, it's really painful. She was like, "Oh, okay, well, if you've got stomach cramps, then you won't mind going to the doctor then?" And my brother was like, "No, absolutely not, take me to the doctor." So she took him, made the appointment. Back in those days, you could get same-day appointments, I guess, because you can't do that now. But she took him to the doctor, They did the whole thing of like getting him an appointment. They sat in the waiting room. They were seen by the doctor, and the doctor was like, "What seems to be the problem here?" And my brother was like, "Oh, I've got these really bad stomach cramps." And so the doctor was asking him questions like, "What have you been doing today? What have you eaten? Is there anything, any reason, have you done anything that you think might have caused this stomach ache?" Because I guess maybe he thought he'd been playing football or something, I don't know. And my brother was like, "Yeah, I know what it is." And so the doctor was like, "Oh, okay, what do you think it is?" And my brother went, "Yeah, I'm hungry. That's why I got stomach pain." And the doctor, bless him, was really good about it. He didn't like moan or anything. He was just like, "Oh, I see. Okay, well, in that case, I think I can sort out a prescription for you for a sandwich." But my poor Nan, she must have been so mortified. The lengths my brother would have gone to get out of school. But he's always kind of done things that he thinks is funny, but they make other people roll their eyes. I mentioned before I used to work at a nursery, and again, it was within walking distance from our family home. We all lived very close together. And my brother decided to come to my work to tell me about a burst pipe. So I went to go and see him, and he was like, "Oh, Carla, you're never going to guess what fucking pipe's burst." And I was like, "Hey, mate, we're at a nursery, okay? You can't swear here." He was like, "Oh, yeah, sorry. Anyway, pipes burst, fucking pissing water everywhere. It's made the place look like a right shithole." And I'm like, "Mate, you're in a nursery. Can't swear anywhere." He's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, mate. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck to do. Boiler's obviously gone to shit." Just doesn't care. He's got kids now, although most of you that have been watching my channel will know that because I talk about him and his kids fairly frequently. I love talking to him on FaceTime because guaranteed after every call, I will always leave with some funny story of something funny that's happened, because it's just the way they are. My brother is not. He's a very good dad. He's doting on his kids. He takes them out all the time. His kids are very lucky. He has 3 boys, but sometimes he does say things that I'm sure he only says for the shock factor. I remember when his youngest was going to school for the first time. So he'd been to nursery, so it was his first day at school. So he would have been about 4 at this point because he went into reception before he went to nursery, to year 1. So my brother was talking to me about it, and I was like, "Oh, is he nervous?" My brother was like, "No, he's not nervous. We're just trying to get him as prepared as best we could, ready for school." And I said to him, when it comes to the other kids, he's got to watch his back. And seeing as he's just started school, obviously I had to have a talk to him about violence. I was like, "Oh, you had to talk to him about violence?" My brother's like, Yeah. I said, "Mate, as long as you don't throw the first punch, I've got your back." His son was 4 at the time. What does that even mean? As long as you don't throw the first punch. I would like to say, for those of you that may be curious, my nephew is not a school bully. He never has been, never had any incidents of picking on other kids, and he's 10 now, so... Just the kind of conversations he has with his kids. Like, I don't even want to judge, I just want to observe, because they are so intriguing. Especially his oldest, who I said he's 10 now. But the way they talk to each other, honestly, you would have thought that you were listening in to a pair of middle-aged builders having a conversation. He told me about a conversation he had. He picked his son up in his van. Of course my brother has a van. Of course he does. And my nephew got in and they were just chatting. And my nephew said, "Oh, I saw your friend today, Dad, with his girlfriend." My brother said, "Oh, they're still together, are they?" Yeah, they are. To be honest, I don't know what she sees in him, Dad. Probably because he's got the house." "Yeah, probably, son." Like, where would you hear a 10-year-old having that conversation with another adult? His kids are just like him. It's like listening to a pair of middle-aged builders on a building site having a conversation. I have to be careful how I talk about my brother because he's probably watching this. He never used to watch my videos before when it was a smaller channel. We talk a lot. We talk very frequently. I talk to my brother more than I talk to anyone else, actually. And he's known about the channel for a while. And when I told him, he's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then I one time mentioned that I spoke about him during a voiceover. He has seen all of my videos. He watches them all, just on the off chance that I talk about him. So he's probably watching this. He's probably going to send me some kind of message. He was 5, actually, when I made the throw the first punch comment. That's what I'll get. We did manage to get our own back on him, though, as I've said. My brother is notorious for playing pranks on people, making comments to people that he thinks are funny. There have been times where he's pissed everyone off in the family, and one time we played a prank on him, and I'm not really a prank person. I hate pranks, because when it comes, my personal view, which I think is fact, is that pranks are never fun, except for this one, mainly because when it comes to pranks, there's always someone that's the butt of the joke, and that's not as good as an actual joke. But this time, it was okay, because he deserved it. So we were having this family gathering. This was going back years, way before my brother even had his kids. I think he must have been, I don't know, I want to say like 18. So it was a long time ago, over 10 years ago. And we were having this family barbecue, and my brother was running late, as usual. And my aunt and uncle had said, guys, we've got this idea. It's going to be brilliant. Whatever we say, just go along with it. So we were like, okay. And there were loads of bugs on the ground, which I know, grass, you would expect it, right? But it looked like they had had some kind of infestation because there were loads everywhere. So I guess maybe there was like an ant's nest or something. So they put a load of bug killer all over the grass, and I don't know if you've seen it or whether it's different for different brands, but this one was white powder. So we had a garden full of white powder scattered all over the grass. So my brother came over, my uncle was waiting for him to come through the door. My brother took one look around and was like, oh, what's gone on here then? My uncle said, oh, you're not going to believe this, mate. I told my friend that we were having a barbecue, and he got the wrong idea. He thought it was a different type of barbecue. My brother's like, oh, what do you mean by that? My uncle says, oh, well, he turned up with a great big bag full of cocaine. We told him that we did not want to be using that here because of all the kids around. My brother's like, oh my God, no way. My uncle says, yeah. And then, in a fit of rage, because we asked him to leave, he threw the bag everywhere, and it's gone all over the grass, and now we don't know what to do. My brother was like, no. My uncle goes, yeah, and now we're going to have to cancel the barbecue because we got the kids here. You can't have kids around cocaine. Kids. At this point, my aunt chirps in, and she's like, we would love to be able to clean it up, but none of us are brave enough. Would you do it? My brother looks at the ground, he's thinking, he's like, oh, well, yeah, I suppose I could. Everyone get inside. So everyone goes inside, and at my aunt and uncle's house, they have a conservatory, so you can see, from inside the house, you can see the garden pretty clearly. And my brother decided to go and get a Hoover. This was over 10 years ago. It still cracks me up because I can see it as I'm telling you the story. He grabs the Hoover, he plugs it in to the house, obviously, and then he takes the Hoover outside and he starts hoovering up the grass. And we're just like pissing ourselves laughing, half feeling bad for the prank. But as we're watching him, he's got his shirt, he's like tucked it over his nose and mouth. So he's covered his face with his shirt just in case any of the cocaine goes up his nose, God forbid, while he's hoovering up the grass. We did eventually come clean and tell him it was bug killer. He didn't talk to any of us for a while. And he's probably going to be absolutely fuming that I've brought this up again. So, sorry, mate. But that is just one of of all of the funny stories growing up, that's my favourite. Anyway, I could talk about this for hours. I really could. But it's been nice being able to just chat. You might think that this entire voiceover is incredibly boring, and if you think that, please let me know in the comments, because I won't do it again, because I don't want to bore you guys, but it was fun for me anyway. But yeah, I'm going to end this because this is dragging on now. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Also, it's Halloween week. I've got Halloween videos all week. By the time this goes up, there should have already been 2 out. And I've got another 2 coming after this one. I know this one isn't very spooky, but, you know, fall, I guess, autumn vibes. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. You know I love it when you do that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.